regarding Hurricane Florence recovery. On behalf of the board, my name is Ray Whitten, Chairman, and thank each and everyone for coming out, and I really thank the board for coming today. And I thank Dr. Montgomery who's in the lobby or the parking lot, and should be in a few moments. But at this time, if we'll stand, I'll give the invocation this morning. Father God, we thank you, Lord, for just another wonderful day that you allowed us to wake up to. We thank you for all the blessings that you have given us throughout life. As we stand here conducting county business and hearing all the results and all the concerns that we have for the storm that we just witnessed, Father, we pray that you would help us, direct us, and let this meeting go in accordance to thy will. We'll give you the honor and the praise. In Jesus' name we pray, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we're going to Mr. Bradley Kellogg.
All right, thank you. Glad to see everybody here. I'd like to recognize or introduce a couple of folks before we get started. Robin is our area coordinator for North Carolina Emergency Management. Two ladies here from FEMA Intergovernmental Affairs, right? And a young lady from Small Business Administration. And the gentleman on the end, he is not our assigned supervisor, but he's filling in. Our supervisor got hung on a plane today. He's inbound here, but he's not going to make it inbound. So he's from FEMA as well. So I appreciate y'all being here to support. I'll start. I've kind of broken the agenda down into the county, what the county is doing and has done, what the state, FEMA, Red Cross, and then the SBA has doing or has done. So damage assessment, we're still in the process of collecting and analyzing this data. Fire department's helping us, building inspections, Greg Elkins helped us put some of this data together. FEMA, we got their numbers today, the damage assessment they did, and we got Red Cross's numbers yesterday, the damage assessment they did. So we're compiling all this data currently, making sure we don't have any duplicates. So as of right now, we feel like we have 1,002 homes with minor damage, 581 with moderate damage, and 153 with either major damage or destroyed. And that number is not, I know that number is not finalized, but I know we're going to be well over 200 before we get this data. I mean, once we get this data finalized, we'll be well over 200. Maybe even push it 300. I feel like some of this moderate damage will turn into major damage, especially as this mold continues to grow. So more to come on that as far as final numbers. Next, I'm going to ask operations or general services manager Kip Cleary to talk about the damage to county buildings.
I think it's safe to say that we received a considerable amount of damage on several of our buildings. The worst of which was probably at Courthouse. We've had our insurance carrier out. He has been with me a couple of days surveying all of the damages on the building. We are looking at a remediation recovery in the courthouse building, redoing, replacing some wall surfaces potentially on the eastern end of the building, the northern wall of the building. We are doing some mold treatment in that building as well. Several of our other buildings, this building sustained some damage in the rear, wet some floors, leaked through some ceilings. We have done surveys on all of our roofs and are still looking at, got a roofing contractor in here today, looking at 3 more of our buildings. We have still, as Bradley shared, still gathering some data on that and reporting all of that through our insurance carrier at this time. We do know that the Rowan site, solid waste site, was completely destroyed. That is back up and operational at this point with a small portable unit loaned by emergency services to us to give an office space for that attendant to work down there. That site did reopen Saturday to start receiving waste again on a limited scale at this point, but we are receiving waste down there. Kelly Rescue Building was completely flooded, and we're still assessing that as to the cost of repairs at that location. We received some minor damage on our water department buildings, some roof shingles and things like that, but communication tower at Kelly and the Natmore site completely went underwater. Estimates on the radio equipment there exceed about $30,000, plus a power generator completely destroyed, and we're getting quotes on that. So needless to say, we've still got a lot of things in the works at this point in time. We only had a couple of fences, one of which was on the new jail LEC that was damaged by trees falling, and those, we've obtained one quote and we're getting a second on the repairs there. Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I have a question. What are you doing to protect those employees when you talk about mold treatment in the courtyard?
We've already done some air testing in there. There was only 2 locations that were found to be of significance. One was the district courtroom, one was B17 room. We have gone in and spot cleaned and removed visible mold that was in that location, and are working on getting the equipment in here now to actually go in and do a fog treatment in those rooms to ensure there's no more health hazard in there.
But meanwhile, they're working there, and they have been.
Well, we've lowered the humidities in those rooms with dehumidifiers, and at this point, the person, Mr. Stuart Darden, with the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, said that at the elevation levels of mold that is there, it may be a problem with people with severe allergies, but that it would be considered minor for people that don't have that problem.
So, but when they go down to the records and places like that, do they wear masks or wear gloves?
No, there's no need for that at this point in those locations. Those locations did not test to show any mold present. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes. Anything else?
Thank you, Mr. McClary. If I could, Captain Sinclair, if I could put you on the spot just a second, to talk about radio damage we had.
Yeah, we got a communication tower that is actually owned by Polk County EMC. They allow the county to use that facility rent-free. That is located at the substation on Apple Road. It went underwater, basically, several feet of water up the side of the building. Our page equipment and several receivers, microwave equipment, that kind of thing, all at the base, down in the building, the base, all that went underwater, or a lot of it went underwater, along with the generator, which we provide at that site. That's all was submerged. So that was what Kit was talking about as far as damage to the radio. The tower itself is still in good shape, but it's going to be several months before Fort County, I think, has that tower or the tower house replaced. And we are making preparations, have made some preparations as far as getting some equipment moved around. We don't have quite as good a coverage in that area as we did, but we do have, we're able to do the essential stuff, just not quite as good. So we got several things in place.
Ms. McClure, I'm going to ask you a question for that. Excuse me. On the cost of the total assessment of all the damage, when will we get an update on what type of cost we talk about? If I can look on that.
We're still getting quotes on some of the repairs that have to be made. We have a few of those in hand already, but our insurance carrier is estimated to work on courthouse alone to be over $100,000.
So you will give us a total cost of everything with damage to all the property?
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to mention, working through the council of governments and the unemployment office here, they have a disaster employment program, and we, emergency services, we've already been able to put 4 folks to work because of that program. One is going to be a recovery specialist to kind of handle the programs that will be coming out to help individuals around the county. Admin, data entry person, and then 2 maintenance folks that are going to be putting up all these road signs that have been blown down, as well as fixing the training center back taking care of all that damage and supervising the inmates on a daily basis that work for us. So I know they're working with other departments right now. They're trying to get some more folks on board with this program. Next, we'll talk about debris. Again, we'll turn it over to General Services Manager Kip Cleary.
To date, since the disaster debris site was opened out here on Mercerville Road, we have received 1,186 tons of vegetative debris, or LCID. We have taken in at the transfer station 302 tons of brown goods and 178 tons of construction and demolition materials. We did put out the announcement that was issued by the governor that if citizens would place the debris along the roadside in front of their homes, it would be removed by the Department of Transportation. They have been working at getting up the tree vegetative debris first. Some of that has started to come in. They did send a truck down to the Kelly location last week and worked on removing that pile that had accumulated down on one of the road corners down there. And but again, we're stressing to folks, please keep these piles separated. Do not mix vegetative debris with building materials or brown goods, home furnishings, things of that nature. And again, that the NCDOT is under obligation by order of the governor to remove that stuff from the roadside. The unfortunate part, it looks like from the way they're working now, it's going to be into beginnings of November before some of that stuff gets removed. But they are at work on it.
Is that due to the bidding process? What is the holdup on
I
that?
think they've been looking for contractors who have the capability of doing the work with the right type of equipment to come in and get that stuff. But yes, sir, they
But
are.
it does have to go through a bidding process for what length of time?
Yes, sir. That would be by the state standards.
May I ask then, are they out now doing it in other areas or it really is bidding for this area?
I can't say for other counties, but they haven't started picking up anything other than that Kelly site for us last week, and that was because the site was getting so inundated with materials.
Yeah.
Mr. Martin?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to add one comment to clarify. But I did receive a text from Ken Clark Friday afternoon that a truck had broken down, had some type of hydraulic hose issue, and so they weren't able to start on that as quickly last week as they had intended to. So it may be, I don't know if that's worked on it today, but I don't know how much progress has been made at my point in terms of last week on that big trash pile. So I think it's probably going to be this week when they're able to do that.
Is that the state doing that
Yes,
though,
sir.
or is it the contract?
That's this, I understand that's, I don't know, it may be a contract.
That's a contract.
See, my understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this is all I've heard, is the 45-day bidding process.
Don't know that that's the case, but yes, sir.
And that goes into that November factor we were talking about, which I think under disastrous time, that's
Yeah, not the
sort of
one.
ludicrous. You know, if it's a fair price, but who am I to say?
I went through Kelly two Sundays ago, and I noticed all this debris. And to me, it comes a safety on the highway. They removed it much as they could, and I was there, but snakes, I mean, it's just, it bothers me. They had to sit there that long.
We're from Kelly, we can get a burning permit and do our own
Something like
limbs,
insulation, stuff
but
like
it's
that.
the insulation that's something that we got to
We're
do.
not going to allow you to burn building.
No, I'm not saying building debris, I'm saying limbs. We're not worried about limbs.
Next, we're going to ask Kelly Robinson, Director of Division of Agents. She's been coordinating our volunteers and donation type stuff. I'll ask her just to give you a brief
Currently, we have the one Bladen disaster relief distribution site at the old Paul Sessions building. We are working with Kelly, Dr. Margaret Lawrence, and Mr. William Cogdale. I've been in touch with both of them, as well as Christy Hawkins, who is at Natmore Baptist Church. That is where the largest distribution site that I know of is currently at. I know Centerville Baptist Church kind of closed up shop on Friday, and they, as far as I know, they had intended on sending everything to the community building / nutrition site there in Kelly. So one thing that we're working on is trying to get Natmore Baptist, their fellowship hall kind of cleaned out and all of that, all those supplies taken to the community building there. So everybody will have access to those there. For the disaster distribution site here in Elizabethtown, I just talked with Jason Williams, who was over that earlier today, and they have updated their hours of distribution. I didn't print out enough for everybody, I'm sorry, I didn't know we were gonna have a lot of these, there's all these people here, but. Another thing, we are working with the Lumber River Council of Governments like Bradley, as far as employing some people at those distribution sites. And I'm working with Jack Payne, who's with FEMA, and we're working on what they call a VOAD, which is Volunteer Organizations Active in Disaster. There was one that was instituted back in 2011 after the hurricanes, but that's something that kind of went away. So we're working on trying to get that up and running again, because this is going to be a long-term recovery process.
And the goal of that committee, and something that they're gonna start tomorrow, from the distribution site here in this town, is reaching out to each homeowner. They're gonna attempt to reach out to each homeowner and see if they can get an updated list of their emissions. And then next Monday, they're gonna transition that responsibility to my office. Basically, the employee they have there now is gonna be transitioning to my office next Monday. They're gonna bring that responsibility along with her. Reach out to these individuals to see what their current emissions.
And also, I worked with Jason today to update their disaster assistance questionnaire, because they are starting to get some repeat people coming in for supplies. So he's really concerned that, you know, we don't miss the people who are truly in need. So we've worked with Bradley to get a map of the flooded areas, and we're trying to get the data from FEMA and the Red Cross to actually make contact with those families that we know did lose everything or a majority of the things that they have, so that the supplies that we do have left will go to those people.
One last thing under the county, myself and Lisa attended the public assistance briefing last week, which is the first start, the first step in the process of trying to recoup some of the money we've put on the table, especially for emergency protective measures and debris. So, at least on top of that. Moving on to the state, just a couple things. We've already covered the debris. Let's get that. And the state, even up until last week, was still helping us with some supplies, water, MREs, and most recently tarps. We passed out over 1,000 tarps in the last week and a half or so. There was a big run on it right before her tropical storm Michael came. So, not sure at this point how willing they'll be to send us any more, but so far so good. The state, especially emergency management, has done a great job. We provided a considerable amount of water and MREs in the county in the last month.
Bradley, as long as you can justify needing them in certain areas, we're still willing to send them out. We're just not going to send them out to anybody, but if you can justify it, we'll still be sending out MREs and tarps, water, and citizens.
Right. Next, we'll move right on to FEMA and their activities here in the county.
Bradley, before you start into that, let me, on behalf of these fine folks from FEMA, let me discuss the situation here, because I don't want you folks to feel like somebody's always trying to shoot above your head, because I've been there, and I don't appreciate that sometimes. But having the opportunity to go to Washington a few months ago, we were told and given a list that the federal government deems the county commissioners direct partners with the federal government, and a lot of times the slowdown at the state plainly directed us, pick up the phone, here's the list of all of our department heads, and we want you to call. And I emphasize that for this reason. When we had our disaster and the storm hit, somehow or another, I want to clarify this. I want you to know where I'm coming from and what we've been told and I've been told, and y'all know what y'all been told. But somehow or another, we got left off the list at the very beginning as one of the disastrous counties that could possibly be. Within a matter of hours, that was corrected and we were deemed as one of those counties. And that was all the way through our senators, Congress, to Mark Meadows, right on up the line. Okay, Bradley was running into issues and felt like that this wasn't the case. So when he got with me, on my list was Bob Naden. So I called him directly in Washington, and he said, I don't know what the problem is. He gave me a name and a number, and he was also going to call the gentleman. And the gentleman called me, and from what I was told, this was going to be handled. So a few days went along, and I'm hearing Bradley saying basically no change. And then this morning, when I inquired again, no change. So I had to make another call for something else. So I called back to the White House, to Governmental Affairs, and talked to Brittany Carter, because I had another reason for talking to her as well. And she is the Associate Director to the Assistant of the President. And I explained our situation, and I'm like, I don't know where the breakdown of communication is, but here's our problem, and something is not, there's a gap of misunderstanding. And she said, let me work on that today. And after y'all's meeting night, because I told her we had a meeting at our county commission night, and thing would be there. And if things is not to your liking, then you call me in the morning. I said, but if you can find out anything today, call me back today. In less than an hour, she called me back. She said, I don't know what the problem is. She said, but we'll be finding out, because you are at the top of the list of anything available, especially individually. They are entitled to everything. So I don't know where the problem is, but I can assure you, Bradley said it hadn't changed today, but we will go a step higher tomorrow, even over Miss Brittany Carter, because I'll go through Miss Carrie Ann Conway to get to the president to find out what the problem. We feel like we need as much attention as anybody else, because we know the damage to our county and the suffering that the people are going through. But I respect your position and what you're being told. And I hope you respect mine and my concern for our county, because there's obviously some communication problems.
Well, speaking for the state, I'm not with FEMA.
Right.
I'm actually your Area 5 coordinator for North Carolina Emergency Management. I have worked very closely with Bradley and his office. I have visited many of the devastated areas in the county, and I couldn't agree with you more. I actually had talked to somebody at the state level today, asked them if they could please give us a reason why you have not been chosen for the TSA and the direct housing and that. One of the things was, is they said that you've got 31 rental properties within the county that are still available for rent. I didn't quite believe that. So I went to Bradley's office and spoke with some of his staff who are checking for me on some of the rental properties. Some of the low-income housing, there was 15 properties available. 10 of them already have applications that were going through the process. So that left 5 available. Another place was HUD, but you have to go through the regular process, just like anybody else. It doesn't matter if you're a survivor or not. The application fees for single is $25 an applicant, for 2 or more is $30. We're still looking into HUD. They have not, when I came into the meeting, they had not called back. I'm trying to get definite numbers on what actually is available to rent within the county. Part of the problem was we're thinking that they're pulling some of the numbers from the White Lake area that are personal property that they rent out during the summertime. So we're trying to verify that also.
But that's the state, though, not
Right.
directly FEMA.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Could I interrupt just a second, to make sure everybody's on the same page here? FEMA's done a lot of great things.
Great.
And I'm gonna go through some of those here in just a second. But what you're talking about is the transitional sheltering assistance program, which, from my understanding of these huge programs, that means that they'll help some of these folks who are not able to stay in their homes, help them in the hotel type situation. The other program is the direct housing program, which that is the program that provides the campers, the FEMA campers everybody talks about. So those are the two programs that we've really been focused in on for the last couple of weeks, trying to get Bladen County approved to be a part of those programs. And that's where all that communication, everything he just said is stemming from those two programs.
Could I ask a question while we got the guys here in the midst of Rick just touched on that topic? I've got several phone calls from people who have mold damage inside their homes. And they have called, asking for, they have filed application with FEMA. And they all have told me that they have been rejected, so they didn't qualify. And now they're saying we got to get out of these houses because our children are going to be sick and no one is giving us any kind of assistance to help us with the mold problem. And I have several people, they said that FEMA has rejected their application. And they made their, whatever they did, they asked for assistance and it was turned down. And they got a letter saying that they did not qualify. And then they asked me, where would they go to as an alternative? Where would they reach out to? And I said, they can't reach FEMA, that's how they go. Where else do they go to get some assistance? And that was the question I haven't been able to get an answer. So I would please like to know how you direct them and which way, where should they go?
My name is Elisa Roper, and I am IGA with FEMA. And one thing that we're trying to get out to people is that if you get a denial letter from FEMA, that does not necessarily mean you're denied. Basically what it's saying is there's something in that application that is incomplete. And there are several steps that you need to go through. One of the things is, number one, read the entire letter, because the first part of the letter says you've been denied, but as you continue reading, it may say something. So the first thing that a resident should do when they get a denial letter is to call the 1-800-621-FEMA or go to the DRC and find out why has it been denied. It may just be that there was a signature that didn't get signed or a typo or something like that. The second thing is if an applicant was denied, they're going to be sent to the Small Business Administration. And the Small Business Administration provides the low cost, low interest loans. Just because it's a loan, yes, it may be a good thing. However, there are a lot of people that say, I don't want a loan. Why do I want to do this? One of the things you need to do is to go ahead and apply for the loan. You don't have to accept it. If you get approved for it, you can say, I don't want it. However, if you don't get approved for it, because there may be a reason why you don't get approved for it, then that name goes back to FEMA to another pot of money. So you need to follow all the way through. But if you get a denial, first thing you need to do is you need to contact the disasterassistance.gov or go to a DRC and find out why it got denied. Because most of the time it's because they needed a little bit more information or something was not quite right. So it's not really denied, it's more of an appeal. You need to appeal it, they put it on hold.
That was the question I said, that was the thing I said to you. I was going to ask you, could it appeal it, and I didn't know what the process. I haven't seen one of the letters. I actually know they just called me and spoke to me about that. They had been denied.
Yes, because,
They were trying to find a resource to go to, and I didn't have the thing directly to.
Yes, that is because whenever they say deny, they go, usually many people just, they throw away their letters and they don't continue the process. And it is important to continue the process or going to the DRC or applying with SBA. If you get approved with SBA, that would be the assistance that the person is going to receive. But if not, like she said before, it's gonna get referred to FEMA again for property damages, personal property damages, and they might get some help.
So why wouldn't FEMA be usually a friend of? Or are you being so complicated and so hard for people to deal with?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, why would they start the letter off with denied? These are obviously people who are in distress.
We don't
Why
have
can't you say,
that.
I'm sorry, it's incomplete, something's wrong? You're denied, people are upset, they've lost my voice, I'm sorry, y'all. But why does it have to be so complicated when it's already complicated? And I know it's not you yourself,
We
but-
understand what you're saying, and that is something that's been said over and over again, and we have put that forward, but at our level, we don't have the ability to change it, but we continue to push it forward, saying, can you change the letters? Because people see the word denied, and in any other context, denied means that's it, is over. And in this context, it does not necessarily mean it's over.
See, that was the situation I ran into. They said denied. That was what they told me. They didn't tell me what I told me about, so that's what.
Well, the two that called me the last week, both of them said that they were told, denied, go to SBA. They don't want loans. And I think that they're feeling that, why am I going to apply for a loan? So I asked them to come here and go talk to someone today. Now you're telling me, so if they apply and deny, it goes back to FEMA. If they are approved, then what?
Then that's pretty much the only choice they're gonna have.
But what about us that's been flooded and only got like $158.16? And my buddy got a foot in his house and he got 201. I mean, where's our help at?
Do you have insurance?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
This is cash and carry.
The only thing I can tell you on that is to go back to the DRC and ask them why, to find out what.
Where's the DRC?
It's your room next door.
Correct.
See, I mean, they
Disaster
didn't
Recovery
send
Center.
no
sorry.
information where it's to go. Just emailed, you get $158 and some change.
Is this for food or just for
No.
house?
No, this is
For
for
your house?
house.
Okay.
I mean, it didn't get as bad as some of my neighbors, but I still lost a brand new heat and air unit, ductwork, a car, and 18 inches in my shop, a lot of tools. I mean, I'm not complaining because my
I
neighbors
understand.
has lost way more, but
That
my
might
problem is,
help you
why are
with
we
the
not
flood
getting them more
damaged
help than that?
cars. I can't help you with a lot of it, but there's something for a flood damaged car. But I would suggest that you contact the disaster assistance. Go to the DRC right here or call.
I mean, we applied for the loan, and it's got on there, if you ever had bankruptcy, don't know whether you'll get it or not. I mean, it's none of y'all's business, but I've had one. But I'm just saying, so there you go. I mean, I'm probably not the only one out there with a bankruptcy, so there they go. They've already lost a bunch. Now from a previous bad accident or unfortunate adventure, here we go again. We got another stumbling block we gotta go across.
Well, if you didn't apply for a loan and you get denied the small business loan, at least it will go back to FEMA and you'll have the opportunity to get a little bit more money. But I would suggest that you contact the disasterassistance.gov to find out why.
So chances pretty well FEMA's not gonna help us.
I can't say that. You just need to call them and find out. 'Cause
If
that-
while
it
you're
is
here,
FEMA.
just step right around to the next room before you
Yeah.
do, and they can work with you.
Let me just add one thing that Mr. Wilson recognized. To add to what this gentleman, and I've had a ton of calls, sir, just like you calling and asking me what in the world to do.
I'm not fussing.
No, hey.
Not, no means, I mean,
I don't have
I'm
an
fussing.
answer. What I'm saying is, I understand your situation, because I get those calls and I don't have an answer. And, but adding to that problem, we're a very rural county, and unfortunately, and I say this through concern, and we have a lot of illiterate elderly folks that don't have assistance, that even know how to go about it, and they're suffering. They've lost everything, nowhere to stay tonight, and nobody to turn to in their eyes, and being denied, and they don't know what to do and how to go forward. And but when you're in a rural setting like we are, whether it's us, Sampson, or Columbus, we run into the same problems. We have a lot of people that fall in that category. And it's just, we got a mess on our hands, and we're very concerned about them. And but we need some help and some relief with some understanding, and I know you're doing what you can do, but pass it up. Because we got to go to the top to come down, we got to get to a happy medium and have some good understanding so we can feel good about what we can tell our people. Because it's embarrassing for every one of these commissioners, I can tell you, when you don't know what to say and how to turn, and they looking at you as the leaders of your county, and then I can't help them. And that's a bad feeling to have, to be honest with you.
After
Mr. Bullock.
I just got one question. You mentioned if the loan is approved and they say they don't want it, what happens after that?
Well, thing is, if the person says that doesn't want the loan, that was assistance for that person, and that person is saying no to that, then that person won't get anything.
So that case becomes finalized then?
If it's refusing for, if the person refuses the assistance in the form of a loan, but that will be it, because the person is refusing. Yes, because.
Up to so many days, how many days?
How many days?
How many days, once they say, no, I don't want the loan because I'm trying to go back to FEMA?
Well, that will stay around maybe 6 months, and you have 6 months to say if you want it or not. And yes, it will stay in the system, even though if the person says no, it will stay. We will provide that loan for personal property and structural damages, and for businesses and non-profits. Low interest and long-term loans. It's a way, it's another way to recover.
I was just making sure that I was clear that whenever
Okay,
they go to FEMA, FEMA denies them, they go to you, you give them the opportunity to get the loan. And then they're waiting on FEMA, say FEMA
No,
says, no, you don't get it, do you have the opportunity to still have that? So you
Yes,
said 6 months,
yes.
that's the answer.
Yes, yes.
What kind of percentage rate are you
As
looking
low
at?
as 2% for homeowners and renters. For businesses, it's as low as 3.675%. Don't worry about that, I will give you this.
Okay.
Yeah, she's on the
Recognize this.
Okay, hold on, I want, when you finish, go ahead, I'm quiet now, I have 2 questions.
Mr. Cogdell, then Mr. Doctor.
The only one that I've been concerned with, she was somewhat touching on it, is when they call and they're asking, is the time element. See, we done got caught with Matthew, it's been 2 years. And everybody's wanting to understand, when can you get some relief? How soon? That's the first thing they asked me. How long is this process gonna take? How long do I have to put it with this? That's the issue that I asked them. Time, how much time does it take to process a claim, get things in motion?
With the disaster assistance, if you're approved, it doesn't take very long at all for money to be deposited into your account. It really depends on how many people have been putting in disaster assistance loans.
Not long. How long is not long? Can you give me a time frame, a week, 2 weeks?
Some people will wait. I've heard that there are people that have gotten it within a week, and I've heard of other people that it's taken a month. But it's just, it really depends on how many people are applying at the same time.
That will be for grants,
Do it.
for grants, I guess, because the loan is different.
It's 6 months.
No. You apply and maybe you have to wait for maybe 30 days for the approval, and then if you get approved, maybe 5 to 7 days to get a deposit.
Okay. Okay, my question is, insurance, people have went and held that type of loan. So they will, the insurance company will fix their roof or other things. But water goes through the roof, damage the walls and the floor. Are they down to go to FEMA? Will they get assistance?
Basically, what needs to happen is when a person finds out they have damages to their home, the first call they need to make is to their insurance. You don't have to wait to find out what insurance is going to pay.
Okay.
You just need to go ahead and file your insurance. You can then immediately go and apply for disaster assistance.
And for business as well?
Yes.
Yes, and you can go ahead and apply for SBA loan too. At the same time, because the thing is that SBA will cover anything that is not covered by FEMA or insurance. So, you see, if depending if the insurance company pays, well, the loan is gonna be lower.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Good?
If a person had a claim with Hurricane Matthew 2 years ago with FEMA and they file a claim now, are those claims being looked at differently?
Yes, they're two different claims.
Now, I know you got two claims, but because the person had a claim 2 years ago and they're filing a claim now, is it being looked at any differently?
It should not be looked at because it's two separate things, so they're each looked at separately. The only thing that may happen is if a home is in a floodplain and the resident did not have flood insurance during the first event, FEMA was gonna pay. But by part of FEMA paying disaster assistance for a home in a floodplain, they have to get flood insurance. So for the next event, if they didn't get flood insurance, FEMA's not gonna pay.
Mr. Britt,
Yes, ma'am.
something with the Small Business Administration. We went through this, I'm Beverly Parks Registered Deeds. We went through this with Matthew. You have these customers that are coming in and you guys give them the paperwork to bring to my office to file. Once they're approved for the loan, they get their, it's a deed of trust put against their property. These are general citizens. They don't practice law. They don't know anything about real estate law. They come in my office. I cannot give them advice about what to put on those documents. And the Small Business Administration will not give them the information that they need to put in there about what their, if they had a previous mortgage, they file also is what's called a request for notice. They won't tell them what the book and the page number is. They expect us to tell them, or either they expect the individual to know themselves. These people have no clue whatsoever. And then I have had one customer from Matthew had to record their documents 4 different times, and it cost that customer $64 every time.
Usually, when they go, well, I would suggest that those customers should visit our recovery center here, and that our customer service will let them know what is happening. Maybe they can help them. Also, for people that they have loans with Matthew, we now have deferment too for them if they need them.
If I could add one thing, Wayne Smith, FEMA Operations. We do have a phone number for legal assistance for disaster survivors. I do not have that number. We'll see if we have it here. If not, I'll pass it on within the next day or so to help folks out, because we can understand it can be expensive to hire an attorney.
And we can't give them advice.
There may be some legal relief at no additional, at no cost as part of the recovery process.
I think I sent that to Bradley. Did I may have sent that to you. If not, I'll check.
I'll look.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just close this chapter of the meeting, I guess. So at this point, TSA that we were previously speaking about is out. And direct housing is still out. But we would hopefully be eligible for rental assistance and the state STEP program. That's announcement's supposed to come out today. I don't have a very good understanding of that yet. Never heard of it, to be honest with you, until a phone call on it. There may be a little bit of relief for these folks that are out of their homes. And the last thing I'll say, if you do get any of these calls, the Disaster Recovery Center is right behind that curtain. That's what those folks are here for, to answer questions, to talk with you one-on-one. So anybody that calls, they need to come see these folks. They can pull up their case, you know, if they registered online, I mean, or on the phone or whatever, they can pull it right up in here and talk with them one-on-one about where their case stands. Moving right along with FEMA's activity, the disaster survival assistance teams have been in the county since the storm moved out. Visited 1,600, a little over 1,600 homes, door to door, around the county. Most of them Bladenburg, Clark, White Oak, and quite a few in Kelly. So far to date, we have 2,750 folks who have registered for FEMA assistance in the county. We do have a visual imagery specialist. Basically, they've been flying over looking for any kind of pollution. A voluntary assistance liaison crew, and those are the folks Kelly's been talking with. Coast Guard Incident Management Team, who's been coordinating FEMA's efforts here in the county. Floodplain Management Team, who's been looking at the high water marks and that type of thing. Intergovernmental affairs folks that are here with us today, as well as the individual assistance and mass care team. Those are some of the folks that helped our survivors in the shelters find somewhere to go. So the shelter did close on October 3rd. Between Red Cross case managers and this mass team, they did find those folks a place to stay. I think most of them were with family. From Red Cross, their feeding locations have stopped, and this information is about 4 days old. Their regional warehouses where we were getting all our supplies from Red Cross closed on the 5th. They do have mental services, health services, and spiritual team folks that have been out in the county and that are still available. The damage assessment, we got that yesterday, as I said. If you were displaced, Red Cross, as my understanding, Red Cross will give those folks $600. Step one was Red Cross is going to call those folks and say, hey, we got $600 for you. Where do we need to send it? Step two, or phase two, they call it, is where they'll be asking, hey, if you hadn't heard from us, call us at 1-800-RED-CROSS or redcross.org to try to get in on that $600. And that covers Red Cross.
What about, is there a time limit when it will be picked up, trash and stuff, because installation's blowing all over the community and that one?
I don't think DOT has set a definite time on that yet.
And what about people when you come home, people's out there and you joke? I mean, seriously, what do you do about that?
I can't speak to that. I don't know if that would be something you just have to tell them to leave, I guess.
Let them get a refrigerator full of rotten meat. They'll take it back.
And that's a DOT service that they're providing from the governor's executive orders, so we're counting their emergency.
Brother, would that apply to people who's in rental properties, obviously that $600 Red Cross, or you have to get property on?
I don't know that.
I'm just trying to figure out what we do.
I'll find out.
Okay.
So, sir, I think that concludes my part. Oh, I'm sorry. Young lady from the SBA, only just a couple minutes.
Okay, well, I just want to explain a little bit, talk a little bit of our program, which is, well, I know no one wants to live in disaster, but it's, what we have is to cover disaster damage property for businesses, homeowners, renters, non-profit. And as I said before, this no interest and no term. People, in order to get one of these loans, they have to apply or register first with FEMA. And then if they get referred, they can go ahead and apply. They can do it by calling our 800 number, going to our webpage, or visiting one of our recovery centers. We have one right here. And our people will assist anybody if they have with the application or questions, whatever. Those applications are free of cost. We don't charge any fees for the loan. It's only the interest. If the person wants to prepay that loan, we don't charge any prepayment fees, no charges. And sometimes, depending on where the person lives or the business is located, we will ask for insurance. They need to carry insurance for during the life of the loan in order to, that will be after the person gets the loan. And let's see, I don't know what else I can say. Do you have any questions?
Does it cover commercial property district?
Yes.
Commercial
And
property?
also for businesses, we have economic injury too. If the business was closed because of the hurricane or the flooding, we can provide working coverage for those. So it's for almost everybody. And yes.
This is just for buying cars. This is just for buying a car, not for if you got a flooded car.
Well, I can tell you in Wilmington, Newtown County, one of my renters, they did, cover his bill. So I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
It was FEMA.
this actually is if you're wanting to buy a car, you need to look at flood damage.
And we provide also for vehicles and rental property. The person has a rental property. For example, so many people have rental property and that is their income. We treat them as a business and we can provide loan to prepare that property.
Thank you.
The law letters, do you have a copy of one that we can kind of inform the public?
I do not have a copy of one.
I mean, sanitized copy.
I will see what I can find and get one to you. I'll send it to Bradley and he can.
Okay.